Pinot Grigio and Pinot Gris for summertime?
You bet your bottom dollar. Today we're going to be talking all about Pinot Grigio and Pinot Gris. I'm Olivia.
And I'm Ken.
And we're Wine Therapy.
So in today's video, we're going to start off by talking about what Pinot Grigio and Pinot Gris are. Then we'll talk about the different regions that Pinot Grigio and Pinot Gris come from.
And then we'll go over what to look for when you're trying to buy a Pinot Grigio or a Pinot Gris from the store. And last, we'll go over our recommendations on what to buy.
So what exactly are Pinot Grigio and Pinot Gris?
Well, it's funny that you asked that because they actually come from the same grape, so they're the same wine. It just depends on what region they come from. So the two types of wine that are derived from the Pinot grape are actually Pinot Noir and Pinot Blanc. Scientists have found a mutation in the Pinot Noir grape which created the Pinot Gris and the Pinot Grigio type of wine. So these types of grapes aren't actually white, they're rather a bluish gray, which is where Grigio and Gris come from because that means gray. Pinot Grigio or Pinot Gris is known as a white wine that is crisp and refreshing, that has a lighter body usually, and it has a higher acidity, which makes it a great wine for summertime. This is a food-friendly type of wine, which means it'll go with anything, and it's actually great to bring to a party because most people are going to enjoy it. So what is the difference between Pinot Grigio and Pinot Gris?
So the difference between Pinot Grigio and Pinot Gris depends on what region that grape comes from. So Pinot Grigio and Pinot Gris are literally the same wine made from the same grape. However, it depends on which part of the world they come from based on how they'll name it. So Pinot Gris comes from France, which is where this grape originated, and Pinot Grigio typically comes from the northern portion of Italy. Now, because the same grape is grown in different parts of the world, that's what gives it a little bit of a different taste and a different style. So Pinot Gris, the style that's grown in France, is actually the way that most people refer to the style of wine outside of the United States. Pinot Gris is a more full, bold version as compared to Pinot Grigio. This is because Pinot Gris is grown in a warmer climate and it's left on the stem longer before the grape is picked. Pinot Gris also typically has floral notes, spice notes, and a little taste of honey to it as well. Because of the fuller taste that Pinot Gris typically has, it goes really well with heavier dishes, such as cream-based dishes like an Alfredo.
Pinot Grigio, on the other hand, is one of the most popular white wines in the US, which is why it's referred to as Pinot Grigio in the United States. Pinot Grigio typically comes from northern Italy, and it's usually picked more ripe, which gives it that light, crisp, and refreshing taste, and that high acidity. Pinot Grigio typically has flavors of white nectarine, lemon, lime, and green fruits, and it doesn't have a strong scent, so it makes it pair well with lighter dishes such as seafood, shellfish, and salad. So what should you look for when trying to find a Pinot Grigio or a Pinot Gris from the store?
So when you're at the store looking at either Pinot Grigio or Pinot Gris, look at the name. They're trying to give you a hint as to how that wine is going to taste. This is really important because it's going to tell you what type of style that wine is trying to emulate. So whether the wine comes from France or doesn't come from France, if it's called Pinot Gris, it's emulating that French style, so it's trying to taste like that French style. If it's called Pinot Grigio, then it's trying to taste more like that style from northern Italy. So it's going to be a little bit lighter as compared to the Pinot Gris or the French style of this type of wine. So if you're looking for the best versions of these wines, if it's labeled as a Pinot Grigio, again, you're going to want to look for one that comes from northern Italy. Or if you're looking for Pinot Gris, you're going to want to look for one that comes from Alsace, France. Oregon, within the United States, has also made some very good versions of the Pinot Gris as well.
So when you're picking out a Pinot Grigio or a Pinot Gris from the store, try to imagine those scents and flavors that you read on the bottle and try to match it with the scents and flavors that you typically enjoy when you're drinking a bottle of wine. So for example, if you typically enjoy a wine that is lighter bodied with a higher acidity, then you probably want to go towards a Pinot Grigio. On the other hand, if you enjoy something more bold with honey notes and spices, then you probably want to pick a Pinot Gris. And just remember, it takes trial and error to find that perfect bottle of wine.
So let's get into our recommendations. We've got one Pinot Grigio and one Pinot Gris, so you can try both types to figure out which type you like best. So for our Pinot Gris recommendation, we have Willackenzie Estate 2018 from Oregon. This Pinot Gris is medium bold, slightly dry and slightly soft, with tree fruit notes, citrus fruit notes, and tropical fruit notes.
And for our Pinot Grigio recommendation, we recommend Bertani Volante Pinot Grigio 2018. This wine is medium bold, slightly dry, and medium acidic, with hints of tree fruit notes, citrus fruit notes, and earthy notes.
And that's everything you need to know about Pinot Grigio or Pinot Gris.
Did we miss anything? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It really helps us out so we can get content to you every week. We'll see you in our next video. Cheers.